She likes the way I eat down. She likes the way I put it down.
Yeah.
She likes the
Tab for the bad little bitches in the city and it's all on me. Time no time when the love so blind that you're all I can see. Know the night won't be the same if you don't leave with me. Ass up, head down, every time you dress down, no I like it. 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 Good ass girl in the badass city, got the itty bitty titty, but the ass come with it. Got you hoping that a flash come with it. Looking single in the club, but you hoping that a man don't get it. And she pulling up late night, no tease, play fight, big jaw, gray white, fuck to the daylight, put her to sleep, cause I don't need no Xan. If she fucking with me, then she gon' need both hands, yeah. Big penthouse, spend another 10,000, nothing getting ripped out, money getting sent out. Good brain, good head, get the sense out. Then I make it rain in the bed, pull a tent out. She likes the way I put shit down, and I likes the way I ain't gotta call her whenever I'm in town, but she know when to pull up on the block, throw the hood up. The Bucktown boy wood grain with the foot up. Call me when you need somebody to work on that body the way that it should up. Yeah, I pull up AM, scotch color gray bands, whole room darker than Ray Bans, and I'm sitting on that ass like spray tan. I would get it poppin' with you or your 8 friends, but look, I like it. 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 I like it.
She likes the way I eat down. She likes the way I put it down.
All right, y'all. We back, man. We back.
What's going on? What's up?
What's going on, man? All right, we trying something different tonight, y'all. A little bit of a different style.
Yep.
We just gonna wrap it up. We gonna talk, man. None of the pretty stuff. No rankings. We just gonna talk real football. All right, look, we're gonna start with Atlanta. We're gonna start with Nationals. We're gonna talk about the travesty of what went down out there. East Coast Cardinals made it from the Northeast. They played in the national championship game, and for the main part, the majority of the Falcons, believe it or not, was there at that game. We ended up having a team meeting, and we met at the field during the Cardinals game. We was there to watch it, and it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah.
They had like 17 dudes, 18 dudes. They had Kyle Jimenez playing quarterback when I got there, and he's notorious as a receiver in a corner. They switched up and they put Ronnie DeBarros back there, quarterback. He's a DN. They had him playing slot. I mean, dudes was playing everywhere, doing everything they could, and they was playing. What would you say? Airedale Warriors showed up with maybe 40.
They were stacked.
They had a full roster. I mean, they had subs. And they didn't let off the gas. They was playing football as hard as they could.
And for a little while, and for a good minute, the Cardinals were actually in that game.
They was playing.
At least it looked like they were in that game. I don't know if that was just took them lightly and then just said, hey, let's just get this over with, or if the Cardinals were in it and then just kind of the same thing happened to us where, nutrition took over.
I think from what I was watching, athletically, even with there only being pieces on the field, I think athletically the Cardinals was better than the Warriors with who they had, and they didn't have a full team, which is crazy. The Airedale Warriors front five on offense was massive.
They were some big.
it had to be at least 1,200 pounds on that offensive line, dude.
Wow,
Like,
that was,
those-
that was.
they were big. They were tall. They were all like 6'4" and up, you
Yep.
know, and they was wide, boy. Um, but the speed and the skill of the linemen, the front seven on defense for the Cardinals, it seemed like it kind of neutralized them because even
Yeah.
though those dudes was big, they couldn't move, and the Warriors couldn't run the ball.
No,
Couldn't run the ball.
I mean a lot of their. Uh, if I'm wrong, you can correct me on this, but I feel like when I was in the game and I was watching, because I know there was a little moment there where I had to go get something to drink. Like that heat was getting to me, and I was craving a Coke. I don't know if you remember that,
I remember
but
that.
I went and I went and got a Gatorade, a water, and a Coke, and I think I downed them all in like 3 minutes.
I
And
think after you asked me about the Coca-Cola facility, I think you was craving a Coke ever since then.
I was, but I know like when I was watching the game, for the Warriors at least, the special teams started to kick up, and they got really good position on field position, and that helped them tremendously. I know they had a couple. I think they scored on a kickoff. I want to say there was a kickoff or a punt they scored on when I was at the concession stand.
It was a kickoff.
Was it
It was a
after
kickoff.
halftime?
Yeah, and there definitely was better staff on the sidelines for the Warriors to get them water.
And they had
Um,
tents.
they had tents.
They had like 6
Like,
tents.
they was prepared for that day, and the Cardinals wasn't. If I'm not mistaken, they said even the owner didn't show up. And Willie is always talking. He's always on somebody's Facebook saying something about the Cardinals. He didn't even show up. So, I mean, let's talk about our game a little bit. You know, we played the Upper Maryland Stallions, CT Falcons. We actually had the home field. We were the higher ranked team and a national bowl game, um, which is a big deal. So there was a national championship for 2A and there was a national bowl game. That means for the whole country, there was only 2 games. So if you made it to those 2 games, you was one of the 4 best teams in the country, on that day. That's a huge representation, both from the East Coast, which is awesome.
Yep,
And I'll just say flat out, man, we were the better team.
100%.
We were the
We
better team. And
this
if you look at the statistics, we moved the ball. We had twice the offensive production they had, which also means our defense outplayed their offense.
Yep,
We were missing a guy. We were missing our starting DN because he got thrown out on the very first play of the game,
yep.
literally.
We were missing more than one.
And then as the game went on, we started the game with I think 19, and we ended the game with probably 15
Yep. Yeah, me being one of them.
to injury. So even with all that being said, that game ends within a touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't count that last
Yeah,
the
that last heave interception return. I'm not even talking about that.
no,
That game was within a touchdown. That was within arm's length with less than a minute to go in the game.
yeah, I mean, we were in it, and we know I got hurt in the second, early in the second. Um, I initially thought it was a dirty play, when I got hit, but now that I've had some time to like sit and think about it, I don't want to say it was a dirty hit, and like the referee. I'll put it to you like this: I watched the play. I understand now by watching the play why the refs didn't throw a flag. It's in the scrum. I'm in the trenches. Mel initially almost got tackled for a 3-yard loss, bounced out, and then came to my end. So the flow of the play came towards me, and I was blocking my guy, and then me and him kind of let go of each other, and I was just standing there, and the free safety came from like a 20-yard start and just fucking clocked me. But when he hit me, I hit the ground and my back popped out, and that was it. I couldn't recover. And I tried my best, like late in the fourth, and Morris knows better. That that wasn't a good idea, and I got taken out.
Nah,
No, it sucks because, and I don't say this lightly. I mean, I don't generally toot my own horn, but losing me and having the circumstances of what we already had was a big blow. And
I had a
it,
linebacker for reference for everybody at home. I had a linebacker who hadn't played offensive line in probably a decade step
yeah,
in for Mike, probably my best offensive lineman. So you go from your best offensive lineman to a defensive player who's not even the size of an offensive lineman at that, but hasn't done it. And he was just being a baller. And he just stepped in and said, "I'll do it. I got your back."
he put
So
he for a couple plays there he did great, you know. But
two
I mean,
plays, for 2 plays, and then he got hurt.
and,
It was
and you
terrible. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it was that bad. It was
know,
that bad.
we're down. You know, we're down. What do we have? We had nine starters missing on defense and five on offense.
Yeah, yeah. 3 of them on the offensive line.
Yeah, you
So
know. So
if you missing 5 starters and it's not your quarterback or your offensive line, you might be able to make something work. You know what I'm saying? But if you're missing your quarterback or you're missing any of your linemen, you're in trouble.
and I say this, I will give it. I give full credit to the Stallions. Everything that happened to us was not their fault. You know, we lost as a team that they had. We were the team that we got put on that field, and we lost to that team. And that is not the Stallions' fault that we didn't have guys show up. We, you know, if it was the other way around and we showed up with our full crew and they had guys that weren't there, you know, that's not our problem either. So on that end, I understand why, you know, congratulations.
Politically,
Yeah, congratulations.
politically,
But
yeah.
I will say
Nah,
this: if we had if we had the guys we had in that championship game, that other team doesn't score a point, and we win by at least. I'm going to give us, and
40.
I'm not. Yeah, I was going to say 30, 35, but I'm saying this like and I'm only saying that because of the Heat. The Heat was still going to get to us. Um, you know, and barring injuries, because I think I still potentially still get hurt. That's just because I'm old. But um, we win. We win 100%. And then there's a lot of what some people don't understand. And me and you had this long 18-hour conversation in the car. Is there is a domino effect that swings both ways.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think a lot of players understand that. And for me, being that I'm, 41 and who knows how long, if, who does, I don't know what my career is going to be. You know what I mean? Like, my playing days are very limited at this point. So for me, this was a great opportunity to go down there and be with the guys. And it kind of did suck that, you know, as much as I appreciated the guys that we played with, you know, we went down there and didn't have the guys that we won a championship with and could have kept this dynasty going for the Falcons.
It very much felt like deja vu because I got down there expecting to be with a full team, and I got down there and the game started, and I felt like we had came with the militia.
Yeah,
It
it's,
felt just like
it felt like we just brought everyone with us.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and like I said, man, I know there's guys on the team that have their reasons why they didn't come down, and but I will say this, and I know you'll agree with me. I don't see a lot of guys defending themselves. You know,
There was
I didn't.
some guys on the team that have legitimate reasons that is unquestionable. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, absolutely, I understand that.
Right,
The vast majority of the team, that was just a decision.
basically, yeah,
It was a decision, and it's the kind of decision that is the reason why nobody wants to come watch us. It's the reason why nobody wants to pay us. It's the reason why this shit is not interesting. It's only interesting to us because you are the kinds of guys that can't make it to the next level. It's the reason you here
Mhm.
playing semi-pro. It's the reason why you didn't go to college.
Yeah,
It's the reason why you got kicked off your team because you were the kind of guy that, when faced with a decision, you make that kind of decision, and it
yeah,
sucks. It sucks because a lot of these dudes have talent, and I'm advocating for them. This whole show is about advocating for the level of talent that actually exists in this level, you know,
yeah,
and bringing to light that some of these guys are really balling. There's some real athletes out here, but there's more to football than just being an athlete.
yeah. And you know what makes me laugh too? Now I only watched a little bit of the broadcast, um, but even the way it's set up, that if you're a player who's of the age of, you know, 19 to 32, and you still have stuff that you still think you're a player that can get out of semi-pro and go somewhere else, that game was a great opportunity for you to get shine. Like, you had commentators that were good. Like, I was watching it. That was really good commentating, and they were from the South. You know what I mean? So like, they didn't understand us from what we were doing from the North, but it was fun to watch. And it was like they had a drone over our head. Like, you couldn't ask for something better. I mean, you probably could ask for something better, but I'm saying, like, for
Nah,
what
it
we
was that
for what
was
my pro football, that you can't ask for much more than that.
that's as close as you're gonna get, bro.
Yeah, they
That's
had
as close as you're gonna get.
an NFL photographer there. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. There's no disrespect to all the photographers in semi-pro football. We have a lot of guys and girls that more than likely could make a path to that. But in the moment, we had an NFL paid photographer that was taking shots and selling the photos. You can't beat that in semi-pro.
James had a good question, right? James Benedito said, "Do you think some people care more about fall ball than spring championship game? What do you believe the main reason for most to not travel?" Um, First of all, there are some people who look at fall, spring ball as two separate things, and they look at the spring as bullshit, and they look at the fall, summer as the real deal. Um, I was having a conversation with one of my young guys that played at Iona Prep with me, went on to be a professional football player. His name is Akil. He played some semi-pro ball, and we was talking about this. And number one, first part of your question, there's an integrity that you're supposed to treat the game with. There's a respect that you're supposed to have for the game. And anytime that you strap up and anytime that you put a helmet on, you're supposed to respect the game and play it a certain way. And some of these guys at our level don't understand that they don't have that integrity. So, yes, absolutely, there are some people that see a regular season fall game as more important than a spring national game, whether it's a national championship or a bowl or just a game that everyone in the nation is watching. Some people think that their fall game is more important, and it's absolutely ridiculous because the implications are totally different. Number two, what do I think the main reason for most of these guys didn't travel? All right, there was three main things that happened. There was a lot of guys that did not financially have the ability to make it. And instead of just saying financially I can't do it, they just said, it's not that serious, it's not that important. I'm gonna go to my local game anyway. Number two, there was this notion, um, this kind of rumor that it wasn't important, it wasn't that serious, there was not gonna be any championship rings for it, and whatever, whatever, and just stay at home because you better off because it's not that important. Now, in reality, there was bowl game rings, so you would have got a ring for the bowl game. and we was still going to get our rings for our championship season in the IFA. That's one. Number two, had the Falcons won that game, the Falcons would have got an automatic invitation to the Harvest Bowl, which is the Nationals for the fall. So the Falcons would have been able to represent the spring against a fall team as well. People don't know about that. And then the last thing, number three, is some of these guys were never committed. Some of these guys knew from day one if the Falcons made it, they was never going to come in the first place. So if you take 10 guys for each bucket, you end up with 30 guys not showing up. And that's what ended up happening.
I think also what happened too was it's along the lines of what you said, but ironically, I feel like our championship, IFA championship, was a blessing and a curse, because I feel like winning that championship gave some guys the out of, well, I won a championship, I did what I set to do, I don't care about nothing else, then now I can move on to the next. So, you know, and I feel like, you know, for me, so my thought process on the whole thing, I'm obviously an old school guy because, you know, I'm older than all you guys, well, some of you guys. I paid my due for that team. So I get that there's a summer season going on right now, but I gave Ivan money to play on that team, have a jersey. That season wasn't done. Like, granted, yes, we're into another season, but for anyone who's been playing semi-pro football in these last couple of years, and I'm the new guy to it, and I remember that. I'm new to this shit compared to what I was, because back when I played back with the Connecticut Giants, we had separate seasons, but they didn't cross over like this.
Right.
You know, if you were with the Connecticut Giants, had their whole season, and then we had months before another season started, like 2 months, and then another fall season and a spring season, whatever started. But like, there was no crossover where it was like, oh, hey, your championship game's here and game one's next week for the other season. Like, we didn't have that. So, me, this is pretty new, but like, that season wasn't over. And then on top of that, like, you knew that was a possibility. You know, like, we all knew we might be going to nationals. It happened last year when I wasn't on the team. You know, I wasn't bothered by that, even though I was an owner of the team where I lost 13 dudes to the fucking to the Falcons, and I was one of the main owners. And I lost coaches. I lost my main coach and 13 players, and I literally understood it. You know what I mean? And I had to really sit down with the other owners and some other players on that team and say, hey, listen, man, we took them in. We knew what their deal was. They got it. Can't get mad at them for it. So for me, I feel like winning the championship really put a lot of guys like, I did what I set out to do, and now I can move forward, not looking at the other picture to what we need. And the thing is, too, don't call me your brother if you're not going to be there for me. You know, don't sit there and tell me we brothers, we fam, and then I get hurt because you weren't there. You know, like, I'm cool with it. I have no ill will towards anybody on the team. Like, there's no one that I'm like pinpointing on. It's just one of those things where, for me, it's like, I didn't let you down at all. And I gave you everything I had. I missed time with my family. You know, we all know how I work. I work crazy hours. You know, for someone who's my age, I shouldn't be working as many hours, but I do that. So for me, it's like, you know, if I could do it, you guys could have did it too. You know. But that's it. That's my take on it.
I mean, I don't think any of us, none of us, came out of this weekend unscathed. I think we all came out of this weekend hurting financially a little bit. We all spent money that we probably didn't have. Everything's super expensive. You know what I'm saying? I got a kid. I took time off from work. I burnt vacation time. You know what I'm saying? I even had a situation, the owner of Falcons, where his flight got canceled. He had to drop extra money, drive from one airport to another airport in Philadelphia. Like, we struggled, but we got down there. And when you put in that much, I drove the whole way, right? I You guys drove to my house. I was doing work on my car to make sure everything was good before we left. We had to go get a tire and everything. I went and got a new tire. Then we drove to the Bleezy show, hung out there. Then I had to stop in Brooklyn, and then we kept going. Like, it was rough. And then you got a guy like Jeremy who plays on the Mustangs, who played at his game on Saturday,
Mhm.
left the game immediately, played the
Right now.
whole game, left the game immediately, and drove down to Atlanta and was there, barely got any sleep, suited up, and played both ways and played the entire game in 120-degree weather on that field. It was about 120 on the field.
Yeah,
So anybody who didn't come down, like, that shit is bro, that's like two middle fingers to my face.
mhm.
It's like two middle fingers to my face, and that sucks because a lot of the guys that didn't come are original Falcons.
Yeah, and I
I'm
think
an
that's
outsider. You're an
that's where
outsider.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like my whole thing to that is like I look at guys like yourself and Ivan and like and to be completely honest, like I was so I not to make this long, but like I watched you guys lose to the Green Wave and thought I can help this team. And I already knew guys on the Falcons from obviously the Vipers. Larry then joins, makes it even easier for me because now the quarterback is the guy I've been snapping to the whole season. Even though I didn't play center, I'm on that line. I go in day one. I'm put in as a starter. Never once on the Falcons did I not feel like I was part of it. You know what I mean? When we beat the Warhawks, the way that all you guys felt, like to see the joy, some of you guys cried, the tears because of what happened the year prior, all that stuff, like that got me so fucking amped up, and like I made the right decision to come here. Because I could have just sat on my damn couch and been fine. You know,
You just came
but
to the games and been a spectator.
like I'd been fine, but like I made the right decision to come here, and then to go through all the battles in those games. Obviously we know the Crusaders and the
Norseman.
Norsemen; those were pretty fucking easy games. But that Patriot game was a battle in that rain. That was the wettest damn game I've ever played in my life, up until the championship game.
What's up,
You know.
Pete?
Then we played the Warhawks again in another good game, and then we played the Patriots again in another good game.
And it rained all of
And
them, I think.
yeah. So it's like, we had battles. You build that camaraderie with your teammates. Those are memories you're gonna have now for the rest of your life. You win a championship on top of that. You bring literally a Connecticut championship because we know I don't give a fuck what anybody in semi-pro says. There is a complete battle between three states: Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York.
Yep.
You
It's a
know,
tug of war.
and let's be real. Massachusetts guys think they're the best guys. New York guys think they're the best guys. Connecticut guys think they're the best guys. So for Connecticut to sit there and win it, even though we have a sprinkle of New York dudes on our team, like we did something that not many Connecticut teams can do, and then we had a chance to go out there and prove to fucking down south that Connecticut football can play. And then for me, coming from the Connecticut Giants, that was our fucking goal back then. Our goal wasn't to win championships in our league. Our goal was to show people that Connecticut dudes could fucking whoop your ass. In truth, if you ask any of the guys that I played with on Connecticut Giants, we loved the championships. That was one of our, that was a bonus for us. But to go down to New York, go down to Virginia, go down to South Carolina, Baltimore, and fucking win by 40 and leave knowing that these guys are going to look back and go, yo, these Connecticut boys can play. Dude, that was great. That was my whole I love that more than even winning the championship. So now to go down to Atlanta, Georgia, and those dudes know they were going to lose. Like, those guys knew that they were going to lose if we had everybody. Those guys
They
weren't
knew.
dumb.
They told us. They said they've been watching tape on us for months.
Like, they knew. You know what I mean? So it's like,
They was watching tape on us before they knew they was gonna play us. just to
But I mean,
prepare.
so my whole point is like, dudes got to put. I guess my whole point is going forward in semi-pro football, guys really got to start putting on a perspective of what they want when they join a team. You know, are you there for the long haul? Are you there for the championships? Are you there for the memories? Or are you there just to take fucking pictures and put it on Facebook and say you're part of something and be on a team that wins and, you know, you can go out and say it and get that ring at the end of the day. You know?
But here's the last thing I'm gonna say before we move on. I think a lot of these guys, when you get past high school and you get to college and you play college ball, you get hit with reality real quick. You get hit with reality because they tell you the workout is at 7 a.m. But don't nobody go looking for you.
Yeah,
Don't
no.
show up at 7 a.m. That's your ass. You know? They tell you that practice is at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Ain't nobody looking for you. Ain't nobody
Yeah.
watching to see if you getting that rep in. If you stand off to the side and everybody do their reps, ain't nobody gonna say nothing to you. Ain't nobody gonna say, yo, Mike, get in, it's your turn. If you go stand off on the side and don't get your reps in, that's on you. And you become a man in that because you realize like, it's on me. I gotta
Right.
make this happen for me. And if I want it, I'm gonna be there. And you build up this muscle, and that muscle is missing at this
Mhm.
level. And I think because of the way that semi-pro works and because it's all grown men, the organizations treat these guys in ways that they're not prepared for. They tell them practice is Thursday at 7 o'clock at Platt High School. Be there. But there's no consequence really if they don't come.
Yeah.
Because of the way that semi-pro works, these guys can just leave and they can just post a picture in another uniform. And they could claim they a starting running back or a starting receiver on a team that they don't even fucking get reps. But they could put
Yeah.
that on Facebook and they could fake it till they fucking make it all day long. And there's no real consequence to that.
None.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that the way that things are going these days, teams got to start really mimicking the Shamrocks and the Admirals and the Knowles. And these fucking coaches and these owners got to really start. It starts there. Like, if you got no integrity for your team, your players ain't gonna have no integrity for your team. If I could come to practice or not come to practice, if I could miss a game because I want to go hang out at Lake Compounds, if I could miss a game because today is just too fucking hot and I got a flag game and I fuck it, I'm just gonna go to this flag game. Like, if that's acceptable, then you basically accepting the end of football.
Yeah.
Because the minute that guys aren't, when they're not forced to respect the game, you're gonna see a lot of disrespect. And you're gonna end up in situations where you got guys showing up in the fourth quarter to a championship game like the Patriots had. Key guys, starting guys. You're gonna have situations where you down at a national bowl game trying to represent the entire Northeast, the whole Connecticut. You trying to show down south we can fucking ball, and you show up with 15 dudes
Yeah. Yeah.
because you accepted that.
And you know what else is sad about that? Massachusetts did the same fucking thing.
So
So
there's no excuse. It's not, oh, it's just Connecticut.
yeah,
It's not, oh, it's just Massachusetts.
right.
You know? And the
But you,
Eagles, when they went down and they lost, the Eagles had a similar situation. When the Eagles went down to Florida and they lost, they was missing a lot of guys. A lot of their guys did not go to that, and they lost because of it.
I mean, let's be really real honest about this, right? I don't know when this happened. I don't know when this changed. I don't know when semi-pro guys um, forgot that when you play on a team, that there's travel. Period. Like you don't. Every game is not a home game. So when you sign up to play a football game for a semi-pro football team that you by just so you guys remind yourselves that you pay for,
Well,
um,
some of them didn't pay. That's another
and
problem.
well that and then you look at the schedule, and 3 of your games are in deep Connecticut towns, which are 40 minutes away tops, because Connecticut really is an hour diameter, maybe an hour and 15 if depending on where you are, which is not far. Mass and New York, and maybe Rhode Island. So you're traveling, you have
3
games.
hours tops. 3 hours tops.
So it's hard. It sucks because there's a part of me that's like, guys gonna travel to Atlanta. I shouldn't be surprised because some of these motherfuckers won't travel to fucking Boston.
Some of these motherfuckers won't travel to New Milford. They won't go to Stanford. Like,
you know what I mean? Like it baffles me though, because that never, and I know I talk about old semi-pro a lot, but I played it. So for me, it's like that never happened back then. And we had dudes on the Connecticut Giants because Connecticut Giants initially started in Stanford. So you had dudes that lived in New York, coming from New Rochelle and other places. And then you had guys like myself that came from Hartford all the way. And I lived the furthest because at one point I lived in Bloomfield. So I was even traveling further. But then you pick up, you pick up a dude from New Haven on the way to Stanford. And, you know what I mean? We had all that. And that still happens in semi-pro now too. But if back in the day, if I looked at one of my teammates and was like, "Hey man, you going to the?" There wasn't a question. There was never anything. That's the one thing I don't think I ever looked at another teammate back in the day and said, "Hey, you going Saturday?" It was a fucking given. You know what I mean? Like, it was a given. And if you said, "Nah, man, I can't make it," the whole team plus coaching staff would look at you and go, "What's your reasoning? If it's not good, we're going to jump you." You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you something, and we're gonna move on because it has to do with what we're gonna talk about next. Me and you was at the Gems and the Flyers game yesterday, right?
Yep.
Unprovoked, right? Unprovoked. The guy wasn't even on the field. He wasn't even playing. I looked back and I said, "Yo, who's number 18?"
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he was a Connecticut Giant. It was something about the way he moved. It was something about the confidence. It was something about he was so dedicated to winning that game. He wasn't even in the game. And I could see it from the crowd. And I asked about him. So that integrity for the game ran so deep. That shit wasn't even a question that I would be there, because why the fuck would I not be there?
Yeah. That's it. And not everybody in the Connecticut Giants got paid. There was only a select few of us. And I shouldn't even be saying it sometimes because I don't think dudes knew I was getting paid. And there were seasons that I paid there were seasons that I had to pay my dues, but I ain't gonna lie to you, I got paid back. But for the most part, like, yeah, me and Lou played with each other. And the funny thing is, you want to hear the crazy part about Lou, the guy number 18 you talking about? Me and him were on the same team and different time frames. So he was on like the 02 team. I was on the 02 team, but then I ended up going to Arena. And then he was on the 05 team. That's when I was trying out for the NFL and I didn't go. So I didn't want to get hurt. I was trying to make that. So we missed each other. So me and Lou never have actually played together on the same team, but we were on the same team and we're cut from the same cloth. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's something about like that 19. This generation sucks. That's the best. That's This generation is so fucking selfish.
Yeah.
And it's what?
Selfish and lazy. And I get it. Like, I get that we worked excessively hard. Like, I remember some of the workouts from when I was younger, and some of the shit was excessive. And some of it was dangerous. What's up, Bray? But I mean, they took like I feel like my generation started it, but the generation we're in now took it way too fucking far because it went from working excessively hard to like barely working hard at all. You know, like some of these some of these athletes that we got today are like allergic to the weight room, bro. Like shit, it's like an allergy. You know what I'm saying? Like they, I'm talking about linemen. Like,
Yeah.
what's his bench press? And they like
Wow.
320, and I'm like, my bench press is 320. I'm a running back. How the fuck is his bench? That you basically saying I can push him. I can move him out my way if I wanted to, because he's not even stronger than me.
Right.
Like it's different. But let's move on. That that Gems and Flyers game.
Yeah.
So you have the number one team
Anything
in
more?
the coast against the number two team in the coast. Both undefeated when they seen each other yesterday. It was in Southington, Connecticut, so they had a bit of an advantage. They had a hell of a crowd,
They did.
incredible. They had a hell of a crowd, and we got to see what's considered the best offense in the division go up against what many think is the best defense in the division, and the Gems. Gems supposedly have the best defense, and the Flyers supposedly have the best offense. Hard to say because the stats aren't really accurate right now. We'll know at the end of the year when everybody puts their stats in. But
Eventually.
you know, we were there in person. You got to see the whole game. I only saw from the second quarter to the end.
Yeah, but
Um,
honestly, got there at the perfect time
I think I did.
because the
Uh,
first half was a. I'm sorry. The first quarter was a defensive standstill. No one moved. If anything, the defense gained offensive yards. You know,
it's crazy.
so
Let's start with the Flyers offense. Um, that apparently the running back from last year, that one running back of the year, is still on the team, but he wasn't there at the game. Um, that running game was weak yesterday. It was hella weak. And I'm not even gonna say at there's times, especially as a running back and you as a lineman, there's times where we could look at things happening and be like, okay, that was the O line. Like they can't block nothing. And we're gonna talk about that on the flip side. But for
I
the
don't know.
Flyers, it didn't seem like they couldn't block anything. It just seemed like the running game itself just wasn't really that dynamic. And I don't know if the guy coming back changes it that much. I can't even remember his name because I've never really been that impressed with his game. I think he's solid. I think he's a solid running back, but he's not impressive. It's like there's nothing about him. It's not he's bigger, but it's not like he doesn't have intimidating size. He's not fast, and he also doesn't like use his strength as a big back. He kind of just runs the ball, you know. So I
Well,
don't even know if that would change anything.
I think for him, the running back that wasn't there, um, obviously he's probably more dependent on his lanes being created than creating lanes. Um, the guy that was there yesterday, to be quite honest with you, I gotta just get. I'm not taking anything away from the Flyers' offensive line because I got some guys on there that I'm cool with. They did their job. They just got beat. Some guys got beat, not all of them. Just got beat in the run game. They just the Nooney and Carr were just one thing, but they were just getting in there, and the linebacker crying and falling old. So they did a good job.
They close the door.
And you there?
I agree. I think they did some smart things by moving some guys around. Like they moved Nooney to end. Nooney's a defensive a cornerback, sorry, on the Falcons. He plays some safety. I used him with the Wildcats as a safety. Like he's a D back, and they put him at end and caused havoc. Um, Damn, we lost Mike for a second, but I'll keep it going. I'll keep it going. They did some smart things. They threw out some all out blitzes at times that I think really just shook the Flyers. Like and situations where you think a team might be a little defensive to the pass because it's 3rd and 6, and you know the pass is coming. And the Flyers did throw the ball, and the Gym still sent the all-out blitz. Like, it was like, I dare you to throw it, you know? And I think James is the kind of quarterback he needs to be in rhythm, right? He catches it, and he knows his read, and he's in rhythm, and he lets it go. You know what I'm saying? He's very much an on-time type of quarterback. If you know football, then you understand what that means. It means that when that ball is supposed to come out, it comes out, whether the guy's open or not, you know? And he throws guys open a lot. And I feel like the Gyms did a good job of disrupting him yesterday, making him really uncomfortable. And I was expecting, I'll be honest, like, I'll be really real. Politically speaking, I said it'll be relatively a close game because they fairly even. But in my own head, I honestly felt like the Flyers were going to blow the Gems out. Like, I thought it was going to be like a 30-point game. Like, it wouldn't really be that close. For many different reasons, not necessarily because the Gems don't have talent. They definitely have talent. I just think that the Flyers are on a different level altogether. And they still proved that yesterday. But the Gems defense showed that they are a lot better than I even gave them credit for. Um, I think as a team, they got some issues that they kind of got to get through, especially offensively. So let's kind of flip gears with Mike, you back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
You're in the boondocks in Southernton, man. That's what happened in the basement. you need a Verizon Fios internet. You need high speed cables. Um, but I basically said that the Gems defense did a really good job. I was expecting fireworks from the Flyers offense, and I was expecting a 30-point game to the Flyers. Like, I was expecting them to blow the Gems out. And I gotta give the Gems defense credit. They did a lot better. I personally feel like the Gems have the best defensive line in the coast.
Yeah,
They
I agree.
they 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 have the best defensive line in the coast. That D line is kind of unstoppable.
Yeah,
And the Flyers are very close behind them. The Flyers
yeah.
D line is very good as well.
No, I remember playing against those guys. They're good.
Yeah.
I got I got nothing but respect for both those teams. You know, like I was one. I can honestly say I really enjoyed the environment, and that could have been because all my boys were with me, and we were all having fun. Um, but it was kind of cool in the aspect to go to a game with dudes I played with and watch dudes I played with.
Yeah. It's a weird experience. It's
So
weird. But yeah, it was fun.
it was like, oh, all right, but I got to give both teams credit. I think it's safe to say, without pissing anybody off, that these are probably going to be the two teams we see in a championship game.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
unless something weird happens and they meet each other in the playoffs prior. But
They will be on two opposite sides and they will play each other in the final game. It is what it is.
mhm.
Uh yeah, 97 is a dog.
and I'll give James credit because when he wasn't there, the offense was stagnant.
They're no
They had
good without him. Let's just be real. They're no
they had,
good without him.
they had a couple of glimmers of hope, and then we saw him tying his shoes on the bench sometime in the second. I think it was the second half, the second quarter, or maybe the end of the first quarter, and then he came in and touchdown. And I was like, oh, well, all right. So, and he took a couple shots, man. James took a couple of real good shots,
I
and
I uh I said to who was it? I said to Brandon Carr. I said, Carr, if you hit James one more time, he gonna quit. Cause he popped James on one of them plays. James got the ball off, but he ate the floor for it. I
I,
said,
I
you
don't
get him like that one more time.
I don't think you were there yet, but and James can attest to this. Angelo got to him.
I was there
Um,
for that.
oh, you were, yeah. Angelo
Angelo
got him
came clean
good.
off the edge,
I
untouched.
was like, oh,
But like I said, you got to give
yep.
James credit because he is
But
an on-time quarterback. It's like it's one of the things that I tell Larry all the time. I'm like, Larry, go back and watch '06 Phillip Rivers. You know what I'm saying? Because that's somebody that people don't really think about, and you're not gonna say like he had the crazy arm talent or anything, and he didn't. Phillip Rivers was an on-time type of quarterback. He dropped back, he knew his route, he knew where it'd be open, he knew the read, he let it go. And that's James. James catches, he knows the read, and he lets it go. He's gonna throw you open type of quarterback, you know, and that worked to his advantage. But that's why I said I got to give the Gems credit because even though he's that kind of quarterback, they did a great job of just keeping everything in front of them for the main part. And they made
Yeah.
some big plays. They had 2 interceptions. You
That
know,
wasn't right. He
it
did.
wasn't a touchdown. You know, they had 2 interceptions and they played well. They kept the game from getting out of hand, and that's the first time all season that the Flyers offense has kind of been slowed down. You know what I'm saying? So they showed that they have the ability to slow them down. Now let's flip it. Let's talk about the offenses, you know, because we talked about the defenses. Offensively, the Gems, they gotta feed that boy. I know they might want to be a throwing team, and I know they might want to put the ball in the air. And when you got guys like Quan, and when you got guys on the other side of the field, like Lee Auguste and what's his name? Oh, I'm forgetting his name. I'm so sorry. Bradley. Bradley, I'm so sorry for that because Bradley's a dog and he's been a dog for a long time. When you got all of these threats at the wideout, I know you want to get the ball to him, but right now,
And don't forget Juju.
Juju, cannot forget about Juju. Juju's probably the best athlete, all around athlete in the division. Yeah, Juju is probably the best athlete all around in the division. And when you got that much talent at the receiving position, I get it. You want to throw the ball, but your team rocks when you running that route.
Yeah.
When you giving the ball to that white boy that's kind of a half white boy.
Yeah.
that
That's a compliment.
boy Vance can run, man.
Yeah.
He does some special things, and you gotta let him be the engine to the offense. You know, I said the '06 Chargers team, right? Like with Phillip Rivers, that's when they had LaDainian Tomlinson and they had Michael Turner. They had what's his name too? He was like 5'8". I forgot his name. But they basically had a 3-headed goat in the backfield, and every
Darren.
yes, Darren Sproles. They had a 3-headed goat in the backfield. And everybody remembers that team for Phillip Rivers and the 50 times that he would throw the ball a game. But the only reason he was able to throw the ball so well is because they could run the ball so well. It's all right, Mike. It's all right. And I feel like all right. And I feel like the Gems have a similar situation.
I know it's because you're playing.
If they run the ball,
because they're taking away Wi-Fi.
Hold on, we're gonna get Mike. Mike gonna join back in. We're gonna get him back in. But if the Gems do the same thing, if they use the run to open up the pass, I think that offense will rock a lot better. They got a mobile quarterback, probably the most athletic quarterback in the coast. They got a lot of like top talent as far as like athletic ability. They have a lot of it. They got a lot of it. They have the tallest receiver who has probably the best hands for a big body receiver in the coast with Quan. Quan probably don't really belong in single A. That's how talented he is. You got Juju, who is he was a top player in double A. So why would he not be a top player in single A? You got Lee Auguste, who was proven that he has the hands, of a top talent. And you got Bradley, who has dominated single A for years. So I mean, I get it. They got a lot of talent. And then you got a quarterback who is probably the most athletic quarterback in the division. So run the ball, get tricky, get creative. They tried to motion Quan a lot and get him open. That's not Quan's game. Like let the talent do what they do best. Motion Juju. Even motion Bradley. You know what I'm saying? Like use some orbit motion, use some turn motion with the Augusta. Try to get him one-on-one with a safety or a linebacker. Like you gotta really be creative. That offense right now looks terrible. It's because it's not creative enough. Like it's very one dimensional, and the defenses seem like they can kind of just tee off, and that O line can't. That O line is not talented enough when the defense just tees off to kind of get it together. You know what I'm saying? I even saw a guy that I know very well as a defensive player, a defensive lineman, had to step in and go snap the ball. You know what I'm saying? So when you got those kinds of issues, Mike's giving me a call. Hey. Hey.
Yo.
Yeah.
Do you want to just put me on speakerphone? I don't know what else.
I got you on speaker. They can hear you.
Oh. All right. Well, I'll just stay on this then.
It's all right. But yeah, when you got the type of talent that they have in Southington, you got to get creative, and you got to use what you got, man. And right now, you got a run game. You got a guy that can make things happen. You got to use it, pound the rock, and let him open up your pass game. And then I think good things will happen. But you definitely got to be creative, and you can't play simple football when you playing better talent. You know what I'm saying? You
got that though, man. But you also got you got Anthony, who's an athlete.
I just said that. I said he might be the most athletic quarterback in the division.
And like I mean, to be fair, he threw some good balls. I mean, don't get me wrong. He needs to learn a little bit better how to throw the ball away, but like actually away, not to the feet of the defenders and all that stuff. Because he almost got picked off like 3 times just trying to toss it out, and they almost still got it.
Yeah.
But he's got legs too, and it's. I was not understanding, and maybe it's because they really couldn't establish the run early, because the run started late, but that's when they really started to, they were trying to pass. So they kind of did the opposite of what, typical football is, run the game over the pass game. They try to pass to over the run game.
Right.
But I was shocked they didn't do a lot of RPO, a lot of that stuff. I was kind of
right.
I was kind of really shocked they didn't do, especially with having those two. And then they really just the O line, man. The O line is their Achilles heel, and I'm moving forward. I think a lot of guys, if a lot of teams watch this game, they're gonna know where to attack now.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be creative and take the pressure off the O line if that's the case.
Yeah,
you got to use the right kind of motion. Like Quan is not really a threat to get the ball on a jet. So if you motion him across the defensive line, I'm not really gonna adjust to that so much as if you motion Juju down the line of scrimmage. Now I'm gonna adjust to that, because if you get the ball to him and he gets to that edge, we in trouble.
And I'm sure you'll agree with me too. I don't know what was going on with the play calling. Some of the play calling was questionable.
Yeah.
It just, some of the play calling didn't make sense. I don't know. And I'm not an OC. I'm not a DD. So I'm not going to sit here and rip apart a DC or an OC or a head coach. But there were a couple of calls in that game where I was scratching my head going, I can't believe they just ran that. Like,
James makes a good point that both teams are really talented, and you're not going to see that type of pressure get through, and you're not going to see the O-line kind of struggle the way they did, and that's true. But that's the difference between a championship team and not a championship team. Understanding that and making the right adjustments and having coached the team to win the big game throughout the year. Putting in those plays throughout the year that it's like, all right, I might not need this today, but I might need this against a team like the Flyers 6 weeks from now. And I feel like he didn't have that in his arsenal. I had saw some weaknesses in the defense, and I said, hey, why don't you guys call this? And they was like, we don't have that. And I was like, oh, okay, so you've just been relying on the fact that athletically you're just better than everybody. The first time you come up against a team that can match you, you got nothing for them.
Right. And then on top of that too, I mean, I know Dean wasn't in the game for the left tackle.
Yeah.
I'm sure that didn't help.
I personally talked to Mark Anthony. I gave him some pointers, because because Chris Mark Anthony, and I kind of hope he is listening to this. The kid has talent. He's one of those players that hasn't found his position. But if he's going to stick to center, he's got to change up his style, because the style he has is he tries to bull. And unfortunately, he doesn't have the weight or the strength right now to do that.
He's surprisingly athletic. Like, he's faster than you think he is.
Right, and he does have some strength to him. But then when he goes up against a guy who's quicker and stronger, you're going to lose that battle.
Also, at center, you're going up against guys that are a lot bigger than you. The Flyers D-line was so much bigger than him. He was the small. I was laughing. I was like, he's a mini-size lineman. He's very tiny as a lineman. As a linebacker, he's not bad. He's still kind of short, but as a lineman, he's tiny. And
But for single A, that's okay.
You have to be unnaturally strong and unnaturally quick and have crazy technique in order to survive 4 quarters against another talented team when you undersize like that.
Right. And the thing is, he was holding the ball way. And I told him when I saw him after the game, I said, hey, listen, you got to shore up that stance. I'm like, you are holding that ball. All your weight is on that one hand. I go, me being a D tackle, man, you're my dream. Second you snap that ball, you're leaning forward. I'm packing you to the ground, and I'm just going right by you.
Yeah. Listen, they gotta find a way to teach, Clint Tomorrow how to get the ball downfield.
Mm-hmm.
They got to really work on him as a quarterback, because he's got it as an athlete, and he's hurt, by the way. He's got a bad ankle.
He has what's wrong with him?
He's got a bad ankle.
Okay, definitely hamper you.
They have the talent at receiver. They got to take some pressure off that O-line by scheme, right? If you scheme, then the defense can't pin their ears back. And you got to feed that running back, because Vance is nasty. Upham is a great running back. So use him, feed him all day. Now for the Flyers offense just needs James. James has to be there.
Basically.
And I think they might need to play around with their splits. They need to either tighten the interior splits or just go really wide. I think one thing, because James is not the most mobile quarterback, I think you got to tighten the interior splits and widen the exterior splits. Mm-hmm. So make those DNs go really wide and take away any pressure in James's face.
Yeah, because James is only a one step.
Right. So he can take that step away from the B gap, but not the fucking A gap. If he comes right in his face, there's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
And as long as you give him 2 to 3 seconds, he's gonna get that shit off.
Yeah.
So they need a run game too. They gotta be able, if the Flyers can run the ball effectively, if they can get 3 to 5 yards every time they run the ball, you can't stop them. Mm-hmm. At that point, you can't stop.
And then I'll say this too: special teams wise, both those teams are solid.
Yes. That was impressive.
At any moment, either one of those teams can score on special teams.
And the Gems, they had that punt. Mike had a great punt. He booted it. It hit the floor and it rolled for another 20 yards.
Yeah.
And pinned them inside the 15. I was like, wow.
He got that home field special.
Hell yeah, that was a beautiful punt. And all day on kick return, kickoff, both teams did a good job staying in their lanes. Both teams did a good job blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the Flyers do have a hell of a kicker. He's one of the top in the league, in the entire league, not just in the Coast Division. He's one of the top kickers in the entire league. So, like, overall, when you look at both teams, they're both solid teams. Like I said, I didn't change my opinion after seeing them in person. Both teams belong in AA. They're both AA teams. Both teams could go on a national circuit in AA and have success. Now, I'm just hoping that the next time they see each other, it's even closer than it was.
Right.
Because it was a great game.
It was. It was a very, very entertaining game. And they had a good, like I said, Sullyington, they had a good crowd.
Yeah.
It was a good atmosphere. Larry did really good in the commentary. pissing off the referees.
Home field advantage, baby.
He did a great job on that. It was funny though that one ref never put his flag away.
Never.
He held that flag tight
the whole game. He was upset.
I mean, the only thing I can say, because obviously we run the gem side, and you know this as well as I know this because we played with a lot of these guys last year. You just got to keep your composure.
Yes.
I get, on the first one to understand that football is very high intensity. You got to go to dark places to play this game. Most times all of us use this as a way to, honest to God, I mean, if you really think about it, most football players use football as a means to not be in prison.
Yeah. Stay out of trouble.
Because I know if it wasn't for football, I'd probably have a long sentence at this point. And I'm sure that could be said for a lot of guys. And but when you're out there playing the game, I think going back to what we said, and I'm sure what this is going to be a good segue to go forward, is guys really have to start respecting this game. Because you're tarnishing it by, one play and you blow up and now you're ejected. Or you let one little thing in the game, basically dictate the rest of the game. And for the Flyers, the Gems, there was a couple of times where, one thing happened, it wasn't even that big of a deal. The next thing you know, there's a fucking argument. They're screaming and they're getting ejected out of the game. And it's like, for what?
Yeah.
If you just shut the fuck up and just, all right, the referee messed up. You know what I mean? I don't know exactly what happened. I bet the call, the referees kicked them out or whatever the case may be. But, dude, the refs are human. And do they make bad calls? Yes, they do. And I know you as well know this because you're always challenging the referees on the rule books during the game.
I was gonna say that. You will see if you go back to some Falcons militia game, you'll see me going back and forth with a ref. But you have never seen me get kicked out of a game.
No, you definitely. Hey, ref, let me talk to you. And then why'd you call that? Or hey, I never heard that rule. You respectfully do a good job of keeping your composure and talking to the referees as human beings and not, what everyone else is. And don't get me wrong, man. Dude, there's a picture of me from last year looking at the referee like I was going to choke him.
That was
yeah, I know you know what picture that's what we're talking about.
That was a bad call.
That was the Hitman game.
That was a bad call.
But, there's bad calls, and that's, I think a lot of these guys don't understand that all of it, the bad calls, the missed tackles, the, bad throws, interceptions, the missed blocks, you see a running lane and you go to take a step, your foot decides not to hit the ground, and now all of a sudden you're on the ground. All this shit is part of the game.
Yeah.
And all you could do is either get up, be pissed off for a second, all right, on to the next play. Because now you get mad, you start saying some shit, you get yourself ejected. You're hurting your team. You're not even hurting yourself. And these guys don't get it. They just don't get it. And I know yesterday I saw it a little bit, and it wasn't as bad as it is some levels. But it's just, it's one of those things where these guys have to really, I think the generations that are coming, I don't think they really care about who was there before them.
Nope. Nobody likes history class no more.
Nah, it's about them. It's there's a saying, I don't know who said it, but the saying is, leave the game the way you found it. Because there's nothing wrong with it. So leave it alone. And These guys don't even know. Some of these dudes don't even know, other than like 3 years ago, who played football before Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Yeah, that shit is crazy. That shit is
You know?
crazy. That shit is
Like you
crazy.
bring up Brett Favre, and they're like, "Yo, who's that?" And you're like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah,
You
out
know,
of your
like
fucking mind. Hey, you know what? Real quick pivot.
good.
Because I was watching. I gotta send this to you, by the way. I'm gonna start sharing this dude's stuff on my page. Nah, matter of fact, I'm not, because I'm not gonna give everybody the secret sauce. But I was watching this dude on YouTube. He used to be an NFL analyst, and I think he worked for CBC.
Mhm.
I think he worked for CBC, either CBC or Fox Sports, for years, right?
Yep.
And he worked in the NFL for a few years as well as an analyst. So he was talking about the whole running back conundrum right now and the problem with running backs. And
Yep.
pivot real quick so you understand where I'm going with this. A few days ago, I realized that I only knew the name of about 4 or 5 running backs in the NFL. And those guys weren't even the top guys in production. I didn't know who the top producers were in the NFL by name.
Mhm.
So he was explaining to me how the whole cap space works and how the influx of third, fourth, fifth, seventh round running backs who can get 80% of the production. So if the best running back in the league is getting 1,800 yards, I can get a fifth round running back that's going to give me 1,200 yards, pay him a third the price, right? And the very
Yep.
next year, I can get another one, and I can let both of these guys go. And
Right.
I started to understand that the game was moving away from that era of big name running backs. Because I remember when we had Tiki Barber and we had Jerome Bettis and we had
Adrian Peterson.
LaDainian Tomlinson and we had Jamal Charles, and like I could keep going. Like we had a big name running back on damn near every roster in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I realized that the game was going away from big name running backs. So like this whole thing, I feel like it's tied into each other because the people at the highest level are starting to not even respect the game anymore.
No, you're correct on that.
And it's trickling down to the new generation, and you see them do what young men do. They soak that shit up, and then they multiply it by 10.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
mean,
young people do.
I think now what's happening to our games, not even just football, but our games period, that we all love and care about, is social media and getting the bag has become more important than playing the game.
Holy fuck. That shit hurt, but it's true.
You know what I mean? Like, think about how many guys come into the league that their social media is higher than their production on the field.
Bro, that's the whole game these days. That's the whole game. At high school, you gotta have a built up social media. That's how you're gonna get the D1 offer.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what's sad? You're 100%. I can attest to that because I just got that same shit from my son. Like my son, who's 10 years old, for the whole world that on our podcast don't know this, I have a 10-year-old son who's 5'2", plays offensive and defensive line, and I have people hitting me up because he's pretty good at it. They want me to get him in marketing and get him a logo and basically start like an NIL fucking shit.
Yeah, now. And he's fucking 10.
He's 10 years old. And let's be really honest. Like, I love my son. He's legitimately about 10 feet away from me. It's like, you're 10. Oh, all right. So he's arguing that he's 12 feet away, not 10. But he's only played in one league. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's played on multiple leagues. He played for the Pride. He played in Alabama one year last year. It's not like my son's in FBU every year and he's just a normal fucking kid that's playing football who has some talent, and they're already like, hey man, if you want to have him do this, you got to get this. You got to get him a logo. You got to do that. It's like, holy shit. Okay. So it's like, remember the other day when we went to Atlanta?
Yep.
And I said that kids today are so used to playing sports on TV that in a couple of years, it's probably going to be like we're going to look at the guys that are in the NFL, and we're not even going to know if they're really talented.
Bro, that's me today. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was in high school and I was getting recruited, I had to change my position because I was so strong and fast that I played in the box as like an interior linebacker, but I kind of roamed around because I was the only guy that could take on a guard and also run down a running back and also drop back in coverage and do it all. But when I was going to college, I had to change my position. So I was projecting out and I was looking at my size and my speed and things like that and my strength. And I was going, all right, where do I fit in? And at the time, Troy Polamalu was the closest thing to me. Similar height in centimeters, similar hand size, similar bench press. He was 2 tenths faster than me in the 40, but he was also a lot older than me, so it made sense. So I was like, all right, strong safety is where I'm going. But the average strong safety in the NFL at the time was like 6'2". And the average strong safety was like 225. And they benched 375. And on average, they ran 4.40. Today, strong safeties are fucking tiny.
Yeah.
They're like 185, like 5'11 on average. So that makes me feel like, is the league really as competitive as it used to be? I feel like now it's more about how quickly you can run a route and how quickly you can break on a route.
Oh, it's 100% more about speed.
And nobody's really tackling like that anymore. Nobody's really big anymore. Nobody's really knocking your fucking head loose anymore.
No, and then the guys that can do that are the ones that get penalized the most.
Right.
You know, like you look at like a guy like Aaron Donald. You know, Aaron Donald's not big in stature. Don't get me wrong. I've met Aaron Donald in person. Motherfucker's ripped to the gills. He's got way more muscle than any human being should have. But he's the same height as me. And he's going up against guys that are 6'6", 6'5", and he's dominant. You know, but he's also extremely aggressive.
Yeah, and he gets flagged a lot, and he gets thrown out of games a lot. And he
you know what I mean? So it's like and that's
he gets
my whole
fined
thing
a lot.
you know, our kids in 10 years going to make the NFL because the NFL's watered down. Like, I'm not saying these guys won't have talent. I'm not even saying the guys in the NFL right now don't have talent. They do. But are we going off of like the kids' actual talents on the field, or are we just going off of the fact that this kid plays outside?
I don't care. Maybe it's a bad take. Maybe people will disagree with me. I believe that 50% of the guys in the NFL right now don't belong there.
Or at least couldn't challenge prior generation. Because you know how we always do this thing, well, who's the best running back ever to play the game? And who's this, who's that? And generally you'll say, well, the game was different then. All that stuff. But now, you know, you take like a Barry Sanders and you put him in today's game. What's Barry doing?
He's going to do the same shit.
I think so too. But then, all right, I'll take a quarterback. You take Dan Marino, who was throwing for 5,000 yards back then when it was a more run happy.
Steven got a good point.
Thing. What is he throwing in today's game? Is he eclipsing 6? Is he getting that 7?
Oof, that's a good question. Because the DBs are also a lot better today.
Right.
And the defensive schemes are a lot better. That's a good question, though.
You know, but quarterbacks are also throwing 50 times a game now.
Right. Now, that leads me to Jerry Rice. What would Jerry Rice's numbers look like in today's game? His numbers would probably be ridiculous.
I got to think they're crazy. Only due to the fact that they were crazy then, and they played 12 games. 10 games. 12 games when he first came into the league.
He's on the Patriots. He's on the Chiefs. He's in Texas with Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his numbers are crazy.
Very crazy.
But Steven Piccirillo says something that is so true. How many guys get drafted for 1440s but can't catch a fucking cold to save their life? We see it all the time. We see it all the time. We see these fast receivers that can't run a route, can't catch the ball, but they fast, so they get drafted.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time.
I would just have to think that there was a lot of talent in this country right now that could probably outplay a lot of the guys in the league that aren't even close to getting on the team. Not even close to getting on the team. So, all right, we're gonna try to get out of here in a couple minutes. The last thing that we're gonna talk about, bro. I mean, I guess it became the common theme for the night. The last thing we're gonna talk about is the militia. Talk about our own team. Like, what the fuck is going on? Because you'll remember when we was on the Falcons, I was going to militia practice on Monday. I was going to Falcons practice on Wednesday. And I was telling y'all, like, yeah, I had like a full out practice. I'm tired already. We had 40, 35, 40 dudes at practice. We was going head to head. We was working on skills. The militia had a reputation of playing at the highest level. They played in the Major League Football League and the MLF. They won a national title. Like, they have a history of winning and being competitive. And they preach this whole idea of militia football and the militia way being like the highest level and as professional as it gets. And we're about to fold. Like, we're on the precipice of folding. It's an everyday question of, do we have a team or not?
Yeah, no.
And if you ask me, I'm having a ton of fun playing at the highest level of semi-pro and AAA, and playing against some of the best teams in semi-pro and AAA, like the Panthers, who've been around forever, and the Mustangs, who've constantly been a competitive team, the Admirals and the Shamrocks, who are some of the most dominant programs. But our team, it's been hell. Like,
Yeah, it's been.
I didn't have to do half as much when I played for the Tar Heels and single A.
It's tough. It's been tough because I think you can attest to this. I enjoy playing with that O line. It's been good, but now I don't even know what's going on with that O line.
Guys quit. Let's be real. Let's just say it. Guys fucking quit. We tried to do something, right? We tried to, and I'm gonna take the responsibility for this because it was my idea. We tried to change up the snap count permanently. We tried to permanently never go on one again, right? But guys don't even come to practice. So I knew we was gonna get some penalties, but it was supposed to be a wake-up call. It was supposed to be like oh, damn, we really need to like work on this shit because we can't even go on different snap counts. We got like 3 or 4 false starts on the same drive, even though we were still moving the ball, because technically it was working. If you noticed, we was moving the ball. We was just shooting ourselves in the foot. On like the 5th false start, our guard basically just walked off the field.
Yeah.
He basically just got up and said, "Fuck this shit," just walked off. And I had to like go grab him, and I was like, "Baby, please don't do this right now. Please just stick it out." Safe to say, after that game, he quit. He's like, "I'm not coming back." Starting left tackle quit. He didn't even show up to one of the games for personal reasons. Right tackle quit. Like, what do you do?
I don't know, because I'm hurt.
What do you do when guys just say, "I'm not gonna finish what I started"?
And now you got to factor in, I'm banged up.
Angel's banged up. Juco was just holding on because he's one of the few young guys who does treat the game with integrity.
He does, and I give him credit for that.
But he mentally was already struggling. You got a quarterback who got banged up in the last game because the guard got smoked and the tackle got smoked and just let a guy through, and he delivered a hell of a throw. It's a touchdown, but got paid the price for it.
Oh yeah.
So now you're talking about him not even having that O-line. I'll tell you this, with the O-line that we had, that's a competitive offense. That offense can put up points, and that offense by itself can win games.
Oh, 100%.
Even with our
100%.
defense being the way it is, we could win games.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know people in semi-pro football will disagree with you, but I agree with you.
Of course we could. It's the reason that the Admirals didn't put up 80 on us. The Admirals were literally scoring on single play drives. One play. We would drive the field 8, 9 plays on offense, punt it. The very next play, they would score. We would drive the ball for 6 or 7 plays. The very next 2 plays, they would score. Like, and they wasn't running the clock. The clock wasn't running.
No.
It wasn't a running clock. Like, the offense held on to the ball. We moved the ball against one of the best teams in the country. Like,
Yeah.
we can play. We just needed time to get together. You was new to the offense. Larry was new to the offense. It was a transition, like kind of like a passing of the baton. There was some movement on the O-line where the center became a guard, and like there was some changes, and then we got another guard that came in. And then we had a bit of a rotation. Like there was some changes. Dudley was new to the receiving corps. We changed up some of the play calling. Like there was a lot of transitioning that needed to happen. So you got to accept that the first 3 or 4 games is going to be rough. And the first those 3 games since you guys have joined the team, they wasn't even that bad. All those games was competitive, for the exception of the Admirals.
Yeah, exactly.
Within 2 touchdowns for the Panthers, within 2 touchdowns for the Rebels. I get it. The Mustangs, they kind of blew us out, but that was more so another situation where the defense was just giving up crazy, like big plays for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being really, there's like I said before to you, having a blast playing in AAA. It's definitely fun. In truth, it's a good time. I enjoy the competition. I enjoy going up against. And then another thing that's kind of funny too is minus the guys that we saw yesterday on that field at the Gems Flyers, minus those guys, everybody I know is in AAA.
Yeah.
So, I'm going up against Lester and Wade and Bobby and Donahue and, the Shamrock guys, even though we didn't get a chance to play them. And, some of the dudes in the Admirals that you hear about on social media. And, then we did the Rebels. You got, the guys are out over there.
Cool. All them guys.
Dustin and, you got those dudes.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to go up against people that in the last 3 years have themselves gone from single A to double A to triple A. Because remember Andre Lyons a couple years ago was a double A guy. Now he's a triple A guy. Same thing with Bushers. And don't get me wrong, I know these guys play in different leagues and it's considered triple A or double A and all that. So I understand all that. But what I'm saying basically is, I came back 3 years ago with the Bulls, met a bunch of people that no one knew who the fuck I was. Not one person knew who I was at all. And now I'd probably say I'm popular to a degree.
Yeah.
I think a lot more owners and coaches and trench people know who I am more than like a safety.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, so, I think now it's like, it's kind of fun, other than the guys last night that we went with. And don't get me wrong, I would love to play with those guys again as well, because close out like a chapter that I, kind of subconsciously have, because the Gems were kind of, if we're being honest, I started that shit.
Pretty much. It's the same team, with some additions.
And I don't even mean I started that shit like I created Southington football, because obviously the Southington Gems from 1946 and 72 were there prior to me. But I and another person brought Southington semi-pro football back. So it was kind of cool yesterday to be there and see the crowd and the team and be like, I'm still, as much as some of those guys probably will be like, no, it's a new team and all that stuff, like, I'm very much integrated into that team, even though I'm not on that team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I walked on that field and how many guys were like, I got pads for you. I got this. Like, and I was like, I know, guys. But my whole point that I'm trying to make without going on my little long rant is having a blast playing AAA. AAA is fun as shit. It's more collegiate level based. It's, the playbook, all that stuff's a little bit more advanced, so it kind of brought me back into that, like, I'm somewhat back in that everyone's trying to make it type atmosphere. And not to say that single A or double A can't have that, but majority of those teams don't have that. But the team we're on, for whatever reason, is not fun.
Too many guys that want to be the guy. I mean, Ed was saying it in a more aggressive way. Ed Heath, tight end. He said there's too many Chiefs trying to be Chiefs, but that's the truth. The truth is there's too many guys that want to be the guy, and nobody's trying to be the support.
Right.
And a team can only have 3 or 4 guys that are the guy. Everyone else, no matter how talented you may be, you're the support staff.
Right. And the other thing too, man, I think guys just got it. Maybe it's just my generation. Like, don't get me wrong. On the football field, I'm not trying to be everybody's best friend. You know what I mean? Like, once we get into that gridiron, I'm not trying to be your best friend. Even though after the game, we can go get a beer, we can go chew shit, we can go talk in the parking lot about football for fucking 9 hours. But if you're lining up across from me, I'm not trying to be your best friend. You know what I mean?
Trying to beat you.
The same, huh?
Trying to beat you.
Right, but the same thing could be said even as teammates. As teammates, I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not even so much talking about the militia, but I think this did happen a lot on the militia. No one tries to battle for position anymore. They just assume that they're going to be the guy.
Oh, can I talk about this real quick before we get out of here?
Yeah.
You know that I was super excited to be on the same team as Harold Cooper Jr.
Yes, I remember that.
I came into Connecticut.
You talked a lot about him last year on the Vipers.
I came into Connecticut football, and I almost immediately said, who's the best running back around? Because I'm going to be better than him. And I found out it was Coop. It was undisputedly Coop. Coop is the guy. And to be on the same team as Coop, for me, I was expecting to come into militia, Coop to have the starting spot secure because of who he is. He also was a hell of a collegiate athlete, top dog. And I was excited because it was going to be the first time that I was going to step onto a semi-pro team and not feel like I was better than the guy in front of me and feel like I had to work for that. And I was excited for that. Like, there was something in me, a competitive nature that was driving me to want to go head to head with a guy and try to beat him and try to take his spot, you know?
Yep.
And I was excited to go to practice and see this guy and see what he does and learn from him while also competing against him. And to be on the same team as him and to then take that competition from practice and take it to a game and now flip that and go at my enemy and go at the other teams. And that's not the guy I got. You know, No disrespect to Coop, but I didn't get the guy that was like, I'm the best and I'm going to prove it to you. I got the guy that was like, I'm the best and you should just start me because I'm me. And that shit disappointed the fuck out of me.
And it's funny because, and I don't know Coop, and I'm not putting words in his mouth, but to me, it's hard for me because I was a collegiate athlete. I played professional. It's hard for me because I don't have that mentality. Like, I didn't walk into the militia in truth, when I joined the militia, I did not think I was going to be a starter.
Yeah.
But I didn't think I was going to come in and be a starter. I thought I would be, all right, kind of what they did to Larry. Go to game one or go to my first game one, kind of watch what was going on, maybe see how the offense works from the sideline, and then if someone gets hurt, they'll plug me in. But I got there and they were like, "Are you the center?" I was like, "I don't know." Yeah, you're the center.
I was like, "Yeah, Mike's the center. Mike's the."
Yeah, you know what I mean. But the thing is, and this is no disrespect to Cody, because I like Cody. He's a cool dude. But like the first introduction to me with Cody was, "Oh, hey, you must be Mike." And I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on, man? How you doing?" He was like, "Hey, cool." And I was like, "What position do you play?" And he goes, "Well, I used to play center until you got here." And it was like, oh, my bad. But then for me, it was more like, well, if you want that spot,
take it.
Beat me. Like,
take
beat
it.
me out of it. You know what I mean? Like, and that goes for any time. Like, moving forward, if I decide to play football any longer than I have, I'm 42 years old next year. Let's just put this in perspective. I'm 42 years old by the time spring season ends next year. My birthday is in January. So I'm coming in, I'll be 42, right? At 42, if I'm better than majority of the O-line, like, fuck off if you can't beat me and want to try going after it. In truth, like, take it from me. Like, you should, like, these 19-year-olds and these 20-year-olds, these 22-year-olds should kill me. And I thought, honestly, when I came back to semi-pro, that was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's my body that's like, hey, dickhead, chill. And like I truly thought when I came back that it was going to be being, I had no intentions of being a starter. None. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very happy in the fact that I've been able to play this game with you and other guys. And I've been able to play it at the level that I've been able to play it. And I'm happy that I'm still relevant. Like, I'm very, happy that my son has got to watch his father at an older age, play a sport and dominate. Yeah. Like he's seen me play games and have 11 pancakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now I can look at him and go, that's how you play football, because he's not seeing a broken shell part of me just yet. I mean, if I keep going, that might happen. But like at 41 years old, I can still, even though it's semi-pro football and I'm not degrading semi-pro football, like obviously he knows when I was younger, I played at a higher level. But he doesn't, at 10 years old, he doesn't know that everybody's who they are. You know what I mean? Like, he goes to these games and he thinks this is professional.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's going on Madden looking for the Southington Vipers. Yeah. Last year he's 9 going, hey Dad, like, how come I can't find your team? Like, because we're not in the NFL, right?
That's cute.
But you know what I mean? Like it's yeah. He doesn't know like how good everybody is also, but he's going to these games and he's watching me play well, and then he's taking stuff from it. So I've been very blessed in the aspect that I can do that. But it does aggravate me that no one is taking me out, because it's like, I think almost sometimes mentally I need my brain to have someone take me out and be like, hey, you're no longer a starter.
Right.
And I can then go, all right, I'm done. Yeah.
It's missing, man. That competitive nature is the thing that forced us to respect the game. Like, like in high school, you had to win your spot. You had to earn the right to be on varsity.
Yeah.
In college, you had to earn your way on that roster. In the NFL, you had to earn your way to even try the fuck out. You couldn't even just try out.
I mean, put it to you. I'll put it to your perspective of this. All right. The NFL is the first time in my football career that I was told no. If you get what I'm saying.
I fully get it.
You know what I mean? Like, I played backyard pickup football as a kid. Who got the first pick? Oh, I got the first pick. One kid would pick the fastest kid on the field, and then the next kid would pick me, and they'd be like, "Why are you getting Mike?" "Oh, you'll see. Don't worry. You done fucked up. Like I got Mike. Like I remember when I was a kid. And this is not gonna be a long rant, but like I remember as a kid because I was a heftier person, but I was fast. My boys would always let the other team pick the first pick in like these little drafts that we had as kids to play a pickup game, with the hopes that they wouldn't pick me. So they would give that kid like, "Yeah, go ahead, you get the first pick." "All right, I'm gonna pick this dude." Then my boy would be like, "I got Mike," and they'd be like, "Oh, you're taking the big kid?" "Yeah, you're gonna wish you did too." So like that. Then you go to midget league playing, top kid. High school, top kid. Went to college, one of the top kids. Go to semi-pro, one of the top kids. Play arena football. Wasn't one of the top, but I made my way to the starter. Till I start having injuries. Go try out in the NFL? Nah, you can't play here. It was like, what?
Yeah.
And that's when you realize like how good those guys are.
Yeah.
And that's what, like you were saying, like the competitiveness to it. I still tried. I still went out there. I still competed. I was beat. So I got told no. And honestly, with the NFL too, sometimes, man, it's just a scheme. It's just a scheme. Sometimes it's not your day. Like I was a small D tackle who was faster and didn't take up a lot of space. That wasn't the scheme when I played football back then in the NFL.
The fact that we don't have that, the fact that we're grown men playing at the speed that we play at, because semi-pro, the speed of the game is faster than high school.
Right.
It's faster than D3.
And honestly, it in some levels, it could be faster than, I would say, Division II and Division III college.
It's faster than some D2s. Some of the better D2s are up there, but those D2s could also play double A's. It's like on a 1 AA level as far as the speed is concerned. And the fact that we don't have schemes is because we don't practice. The fact we don't have competition is because we don't practice. The fact that we don't have organizations because we don't practice. The fact that guys just don't fucking show up to championship games is because we don't practice. Because when you practice and you put that effort in and you commit yourself, you make sure you fucking do everything because you've invested yourself, and the investment is not there. Guys are invested in themselves and other things, and not invested in football.
What would be kind of cool, and this is going to go kind of to what we talked about when I first joined this podcast. Imagine this, all right? And this is a hypothetical to the highest. Imagine if every team, we all get paid, instead of paying the team the dues, you get paid the due. So, you pay $250 dues. So now the team pays you $250 to come play for this team. You don't make it to a practice, they take away $10.
Yep.
You don't do this, they take away that.
Yep.
How different would that be? How many guys would show up just to get that $250?
A lot of guys.
You know what I mean? Like
a lot of guys.
And that's the thing. Like I know with the militia, I haven't been able to make it to I haven't made it to any practices. But I going in to the militia explained that to Mark and Carl, and you remember I told the team, I said, "Hey guys, listen. Unfortunately, the day that we have practices are usually the days that I work double. It is very hard for me to get here. Now, if they moved it to a different date, I could make that practice. But the date that we have is this date. So I can't. But at the same point in time, as you well know.
But if you was getting $250 to be there, I think the $250 would outweigh the double.
Yeah, 100%. What I'm saying is if all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're going to pay you $250. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe like a gas card, stuff like that. All right, hey, we're going to give you $250 and a gas card, but if you miss one practice, we're taking away that gas card.
10 seconds, Mike, and we getting off.
Huh?
10 seconds and we getting off.
All right. But that's it. You know, I'm just saying, like, I think guys would change their outcome. But right now, it's they don't give a shit.
True. All right, man. Listen, we hit the top of the time, so we appreciate y'all. Definitely reach out to us, comment, let us know if you like this style a little bit better. We changing up a lot of things. Mike, Tuesday, we're gonna do something that's more familiar to you guys. We're gonna do a 60 for 60 show, more like what we normally do. Go through this weekend's games, maybe get a little film on there, talk about the rankings and things like that. So we'll see y'all on Tuesday, and got something coming for the Black Room. Got a guy from the Seminoles, played for like 20 years, so he was there from the very beginning before the team became what we know today. So we'll get to chop it up with him for a little while.
Awesome.
What up, Junior? All right, guys. We taking off. Appreciate everybody for popping out. See y'all at the 50 now.
Take care, fellas.